Hey everybody, welcome again to another episode of Just for
Hold
Fun
on, John.
Gaming. My
John.
name is
John. You know you're not the only host for Just for Fun Games, right? I'm on the other side now. I'm taking control of this episode, buddy. All the fancy looks and stuff I did for this episode. Welcome to Just for Fun Games. I'm your host, Nicholas Murga, aka Roy, and this is my other friend, Jonathan Rodriguez, also known as Azzy. And today we're going to be reviewing episode 7 of WandaVision, Breaking the Fourth Wall. So let's
Clutch My
get.
Pearls. You have other friends?
Hey, we might have other guests on the show. You never know. Anyway, I'm done being kind of corny with that evil statistic laugh. I can't do an Agnes laugh. Oh my
All is
god.
lost.
Oh my god. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get right to it because
I can.
yeah. Yeah, so this episode they took basically Modern Family and did it with Wanda. The whole breaking the fourth wall, the little interviews with the characters and stuff like that. And I gotta say, I love that shout out to the Office intro.
Yeah.
I was about to
This
say,
is the 2010s. This is the 2010s. This is the decade of the mockumentary.
mm, sure.
My preferred mockumentary is Parks and Rec, but The Office is really popular, so of course it's going to be the one that gets picked. But yes, Wanda wakes up. It's the next day. Previously, she had just expanded the boundaries of the hex, and it immediately cuts to her in the chair doing the one-on-one with the camera, being very candid about the things that had just went down. And also really confused. Immediately you could tell that Wanda is becoming a bit unhinged, that she doesn't understand what's going on. And when it cuts back to her in the bed, she throws out her arm to an empty spot because Vision's not there. Yeah, no, the kids come in. She's still not entirely sure how to deal with them, and she has no fucks to give. That is really the best description of it. Like, she's all out of fucks. The kids are worried because their dad's missing, and she basically explains to them existential dread.
Yeah,
And
pretty much.
when she's back in the solo camera, which I can't remember the term that's used for mockumentaries, when they're just talking to the camera. There's a specific term.
I don't know. Okay.
But she's like, "Did I go a little dark there? Yeah, but they'll be fine." So Vision wakes up in the field. He's disoriented. He's not sure what's going on, but he recognizes Darcy because when he was trying to
We
leave
locked
the hex,
eyes.
we locked eyes. We locked eyes. I feel like there was a bit of communication that we understood each other, but Darcy is under the influence of the hex at that point in time and uh, can't remember anything that Vision's trying to get out of her. So I probably laughed my ass off a bit more than I should have when Vision distracted her by going, "Oh God, that mind is being crushed by that way." He's like, "No, that's bad for her back."
Like,
And then he zaps her out of it, and they immediately commandeer a funnel cake vehicle, I think it was.
I wasn't paying attention to the vehicle at that point. I was like, "Yo, let's move this. Come on, let's wrap this carnival mess up. Let's keep going." But
Oh yeah, I
eventually,
mean,
it was a quick gag.
but just to stick with them for a little bit longer because their part in this episode is somewhat minor, and we spend a good 7 minutes on them. Darcy and Vision are trying to get back to Wanda and in the meantime, Darcy catches Vision up on his entire history. So, not just what happened to him in Infinity War, but how he started. How originally he was Jarvis, and that the body was made to be Ultron's body. He was meant to be an instrument of mankind's destruction, and how Wanda had killed him under his orders, only for time to be wound back and for Wanda to have to witness his death firsthand. And they get stopped at a red light, and Darcy, being unfamiliar with how things inside the hex seem to be contrived to Wanda's benefit or to Wanda's whims, doesn't realize the pattern. And Vision's obviously realizes the pattern, but what's funny is that, like,
yeah, he looks at the camera. He's like,
he's still participating in the mockumentary, like, stereotypical, speaking directly to the camera thing, and almost like he's been taken out of the scene and sat, like he's literally sat in a chair to talk about it, until he realized, like, wait, why am I doing this? Why am I talking to you?
Yeah. So yeah, moving away from Vision and Wanda, let's go back to Monica Rambeau and Wu, and how, I mean, Wu didn't play much of a role this episode. You know, pretty much just like, no, stop, telling Monica Rambeau she was trying to get back into the hex. You know, I guess her contact or whatever made this big vehicle that she, like, said that was be able to penetrate the hex, and unfortunately doesn't work. You know, half the vehicle starts to get rewritten, and you know, it gets spit out, and it's like a half a regular old 90s 80s truck or whatever. And
can we mention that the contact was not Reed Richards?
Oh well.
I mean, I don't even, did you recognize the woman that showed up with the vehicle?
Nah, I'm about to say, it wasn't ringing any bells.
Well, we were kind of led to the idea that this was a vehicle that needed to be built, and that she knew just the person that could help build it. And this seems more like they just got, like, their best Land Rover meant for space exploration, like interplanetary exploration, out of storage.
Yeah. But anyway, you know, my favorite part of this episode is when Monica looks back at Wu and she's like, I can get in. And she starts
It's like, the moment she locks eyes with Wu, you knew she was going to be running back into there. He's like, I could do
it. Yeah, so anyway, slow motion effects anyway. So she's pushing through the barrier, and you're getting all the lines from the first Captain Marvel movie, you know, talk about leaving Monica on Earth while Maria goes into space, you know, and everything that happened in Captain Marvel. And the last line, I think that broke me, because I didn't expect to hear, you know, Carol Danvers. And it's like, when the universe was looking for a kid. I can't remember the exact line per se, but she picked the most awesome one. And then that's when you saw Monica's eyes glow. And you, like, from, you know more about the character than I do, she becomes supposedly Photon or whatever,
or Spectrum.
Yeah.
I think in a previous episode I said Spectre. That was a mistake. She's either known as Photon, Spectrum, or Captain Marvel before Carol Danvers was technically ever Captain Marvel. Yeah. But obviously that name taken. But I really wanted to. You got to watch the episode like 3 times. I really wish I had the opportunity to, because I watched it and we immediately came to record this. If you hadn't realized, if you didn't know, now you know. Because I didn't recognize everything that she was hearing as she was trying to pass through that membrane. And I was wondering if they maybe snuck in some lines that weren't from anything that we've seen yet. Maybe some stuff that we might see.
Don't worry, buddy. Don't worry, buddy. I had subtitles on. Everything that was said in that segment was from Captain Marvel or the earlier episodes of WandaVision, where I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I thought I heard her mom.
Yeah, you hear her. That was from first Captain Marvel, and then you hear the doctor saying, "Yeah, she's dead or whatever, or something like that." And then you hear Wu's voice as well.
I did hear Wu. Monica Rambeau's power is that she can become any form of energy, electromagnetic energy, just regular electrical energy, gamma radiation. She could become it. In the comics, she could actually defeat the Hulk by just ripping the gamma radiation from him.
Oh, I thought you were about to get graphic.
No, not literally.
So yeah, I can rip her in half.
But she's incredibly powerful in the comics. I doubt we're gonna get that extent in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it was really great to finally see her in action. And uh,
Well,
the moment she,
I don't think she really knows what's going on right now. I mean,
of course not.
about to say you just see her glowing. When her and Wanda finally confront each other again. Wanda
Yeah,
tosses her in the air and tries to slam her down on the ground, and then Wanda,
superhero landing.
yeah, and then Wanda was like, "Oh shit, she got that squirrel landing powers." Yeah.
But hold on. One thing we forgot to mention is that to even more greatly motivate Monica to penetrate the hex is that um, before Darcy like ran out and blew her cover and got sucked into the hex herself, she had emailed Agent Wu about
The
the hacked files for a project
cataract.
Cataract. There we go. Thank you. And basically, what's his name? Hendrix. I just said it. Sorry. Uh,
Come on now, you
is it?
just said it. I thought you just said it, Hendrix.
No, I was trying to remember his title. Sorry, you can cut this.
Anyway,
So if any, Hendrix was trying to reactivate Vision and use him for whatever like misguided purposes that he thought of. So he wanted to get in. He wanted to. Monica's motivation was to get in there and warn Wanda and try to motivate her to drop the hex so that Hendrix doesn't drop a nuke. I mean, because think about it, he could. Vision's body would survive.
But anywho, you just had. That's all you had to say for that.
So, oh no, I was going to continue where you left off. I like how we're kind of going back and forth, going further into the episode. So when like you said, when Monica got into Wanda, she tried to give Wanda the message, but Wanda reacted defensively and immediately tried to remove Monica from the hex. To which, that's when again her powers manifested. And I liked how when she first came through the membrane, it's almost like she had energy vision. She was seeing She was honestly, my brother-in-law said it best. Like, she is the one. She was like seeing into the Matrix.
Nah.
But who then shows up the moment that Monica is making headway with Wanda? But Agnes. And I will be I admit that this episode did a great job of pointing out two things that I was wrong about: no Reed Richards and no other thing that I'm about to bring up later. But I get all the ground to stand on. I'm on the precipice of rightness.
Yeah, you do get the. Yeah, you do get the.
Like it was on the nose that it was going to be Agatha Harkness. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, hold on. Before you launch into the whole Agatha or whatever. So yeah, before you nerd out, because I knew you were gonna fuck, like when I saw this scene and I was like, fucking John's gonna fucking go ape shit on the fucking review for this episode. So eventually Wanda goes over to Agnes' place and to calm down. She realized her kids are not there. Earlier in the episode, we didn't mention it. Her kids go over with Agnes, and Agnes watches the kids. Kids are no longer there.
To give her a day off.
Yeah, so
just a nice friendly neighbor. It's like, kids, why don't you just come to my house and play with Mr. Scratchy?
Mm-hmm. So eventually, Wanda's like, "Where are the kids?" And Agnes is like, "Oh, they're downstairs in the basement." And weird shit's already happening. You got a cicada hanging in the fucking window, and I forget what other shit was happening. But goes down there, shit looks like a goddamn dungeon almost. And then there's this book, which you can figure out what that is because I don't. And
it was all smoky.
Yeah, and then as soon as that happens, you hear Agnes come downstairs. Well, no, Wanda, you think you were the only person with magic powers here? And he's like, I'm Agatha Harkness, or I can't remember.
My name is Agatha Harkness.
Yeah, Harkness.
And then it does this. Yeah. It does this whole
whole bit. It was Agatha
intro.
all along. She's the
It
one
was
been messing
Agatha.
up everything. And the one part that I fucking hated at the end of this episode when she turns to the camera and she's like, "And it was I that killed Sparky." Oh, you bitch.
Here's
Oh.
the thing about Agatha Harkness. Now I've been talking about it since the jump. It was on the nose that that's who she was. But what was up in the air was her purpose in Westview, because Agatha Harkness isn't technically, as far as her origins, she isn't technically an evil character. She's actually been like originally she was the butler, effectively, or the babysitter. I'm sorry. She was the babysitter for the Fantastic Four. After Sue and Reed had their kid Franklin Richards, who has godlike powers, they would go off on adventures, and Agatha Harkness would be the one to babysit the kid. It was that like cliched, because these are like comics from like the 70s. It would be that cliched thing where like while the parents are away, kind of like Jack in The Incredibles, Franklin Richards, who can warp reality, would manifest random fucking abilities, and it's only because of Agatha's magic that she was able to effectively contain him.
Mm-hmm.
She was also the babysitter for Wanda's kids, and it was Agatha that found out that Wanda had manifest these children and that they weren't actually real. And when she tried to confront Wanda about it, she killed her. So she's not necessarily an evil character, and it wasn't necessarily guaranteed that she would be an evil character. But slowly but surely, and well done, by the way, slowly but surely, it stood out that she seemed to be acting out of character for a regular citizen.
Yeah.
In my view, and seemed to be obtrusive anytime things got closer to the truth. For instance, when Vision and Darcy were being impeded to get back to Wanda's house because of it's like Darcy's like, it seems like we keep hitting these red lights and there was no traffic. And the moment the light goes out and changes to green, a repair crew just blocks the road to fix it. And when they move past, an nearly endless line of kids show up. And again, to prevent them from getting further. And when Vision had enough of it, he just flew off and left Darcy sitting there.
Which he should have done in the first place. Be like, hey, come.
But this is earlier in the episode, and Vision assumed that this was Wanda that was doing this. I attest that it wasn't. It was probably not Wanda, and it was Agnes that did this. But in that second intro with Agnes, it's like, it's Agnes, she messed up everything. It's revealed that she's behind Pietro's appearance. It wasn't Wanda just manifesting him or pulling him from another dimension. Sorry, fans, this is not actually the Pietro from another dimension. He may be based on him, but I think he's just a conjugation. No, that's not the right word. He's a conjuring of Agatha Harkness.
Imagination. So yeah.
Because think about it, did you question while you were watching the episode that Pietro was missing? The last we saw, he got blasted by Wanda, but he's just gone.
I guess you didn't stick around after the credits, did you? Oh, your silence is the answer. Because let me tell you what happens. Monica ventures closer to Agatha's home, and there's that cellar door at the old school homes used to have into the basement.
Yeah.
So she opens that up, and you see this purple shit, and then next thing you know, you hear somebody say, "Snooper's gonna snoop," and it's Pietro, right behind her.
Ooh. Okay.
And I'm gonna tell you why I found about that.
Every other episode didn't have anything at the end of the credits. Cheating.
Exactly, because this is what happened. How I found out. I let it run, and I was like, "Oh man, I could finally go to the bathroom." And then I heard somebody talk. I was like, "What the hell?" Oh. Rewind. Okay. Play. Some bitch. There's a post-credit scene. Made me think, making me think. I missed something in the other episodes. No, it was just this one episode that didn't just
Just
had
this one
that. Just one
episode.
episode that has it. You know.
Oh,
So
damn.
so yeah.
I gotta let my fam know.
Yeah.
Ah,
There's a post credit
but
scene.
so anyway, getting back to that scene, and with Wanda wandering down looking for Billy and Tommy, who have vanished. Something that a lot of I'm not the only one to assume that Agatha was there for nefarious purposes, because the twins and their appearing out of nowhere is very grounded in the comics. Those of us with comic knowledge assumed, since that story was very implicitly tied to Mephisto, that's where that thought process came from, where why we kept trying to see Mephisto in damn near everything. Um, but that book throws that out the window. That book is called The Darkhold, and it's implicitly tied to a eldritch god that exists in its own dimension called Cahoon, I believe it is. Yeah,
This is
Cahoon.
this. All right, this segment, people, is all John. Because when I watched this episode, I didn't want to look up anything about no book. You know what? I didn't watch any videos and or deep dive into this fucking
All
episode.
I am not qualified to go too deep into it. The Darkhold has appeared in the Agents of Shield series, and it was tied to uh, when Ghost Rider appeared on the show. But you could probably write off the entirety of Agents of Shield as it's been as not canon, because they want to reboot the show and roll it into the MCU proper.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it had a vastly unless I get to rewatch it again and I get to freeze frame. I think the book that was in um, Agatha's basement had a bit of a different appearance than the one that was in Agents of Shield. More money, higher production values.
I mean, it could have been another
Essentially,
book.
any dark spell that you can think of is in that book. Like, as far as the Marvel comics is concerned, the first vampires, the spell that created them in the first place, came from that book. Werewolves came from that book, so on and so forth. It is a page. The pages are made of flesh, and written on them are the spells and the secrets to the dark magic that's tied to this eldritch deity that at one point existed on Earth, was shunted, was yeeted from our plane of existence into his own dimension, and has since been trying to get his way back. And basically, whoever holds the Darkhold becomes obsessed with trying to help him come back.
Hmm.
But he needs a vessel, someone that is somewhat attuned to the same kind of power and magic that it employs, or that he's made up of, like Wanda. Wanda has been his prime target as far as the comics are concerned for possession. And at least in the comics, it's never really happened, not fully. Uh,
Hmm.
but if Agatha has the book, that could be the reason why she's constantly been trying to keep Wanda here. Maybe she's trying to essentially prime Wanda to be the host for this eldritch being by egging her on to use her powers more.
Hmm.
That's why she kept fucking. That's why she kept messing with the magic show. So Wanda had to keep fixing things. Uh, like it's why she killed Sparky in the first place. She was probably trying to see if Wanda would attempt to bring Sparky back to life, and also why she took such interest in the children. They were created, as far as we can tell, the most obvious answer, Occam's razor. They were created by Wanda's powers.
Hmm.
Again, getting her to do more and stretch herself to her effectively to her limits. Like, you can see that she's like her abilities are fraying at the edges. Her house was literally just kept morphing.
Hmm.
She started off with almond milk. It switched over to regular dairy with a missing child on it. I wanted to freeze frame on that. Of which I thought, I guess that maybe that's kind of meta. The milk carton with the missing child, and then her kids disappear.
Hmm. Who knows? But yeah. So, what do you want to give this episode?
I understand that this is the second time that you thought an episode was kind of slow, but I saw all the lore-ish implications.
Yeah.
I would give this episode, but I do believe that maybe a little bit too much time was spent at the carnival. It was necessary setup. Uh, I would give this episode an 8.
Yes, I say that's about right. Yeah, I'm like conflicted with this episode and the last one. I'm like these
I'm happy
these
more
two
Darcy to
episodes. Yeah, about to say these two episodes are not necessarily my favorites. I mean,
But even when the episode slows down a little bit, it's carried by the charisma of the characters and the actors that portray them. Like I liked watching Darcy and Vision bouncing off of each other. Like
yeah,
Asian didn't get a lot to do in this episode, but the whole sequence where they're trying to, where she's trying to ram the car through the hex, and Wu recognizing almost immediately what was happening to it.
no, it's being rewritten.
Get out of there! Oh, that was tense, man. I could feel the tension in there.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. All right, y'all. That's going to be it for today. What were your impressions on this episode? What do you think is going to happen in the last 2 episodes? Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.